guys, and welcome back to another episode of Change Wired podcast. My name is Angela Shurina. I'm your host. I'm your partner in change, personal and collective transformation, your master health, sleep, stress management, and executive coach 360. And just someone who's super passionate, optimistic about, and pumped about exploring, learning more about human potential, how to unlock it, keep it, create more positive impact in the world with it, and at the same time, live the most extraordinary life we are capable of. And today, guys, we are talking about one of my most favorite skills, something that I talk a lot about, read a lot about, and just curious about. Procrastination, and specifically procrastinating on things that build our good life. Things that when we don't do them, we later regret. Like, I should have started this long time ago, or I should have done this earlier, and it wouldn't be such a pain in the ass to solve it today. By the end of this podcast, guys, you're going to learn one fundamental skill or how to build this mindset skill that based on recent science and also some centuries long wisdom, fundamental skill to cancel the wrong kind of procrastination out of your life. And with that, a lot of regrets. And it has nothing to do with discipline, but with the skill, what I call learning how to build fire under your ass, or manufacturing your own urgencies. So by the end of this podcast, you're going to have step-by-step process. It's actually very simple once you really get it. That will help you to help yourself procrastinate a lot less and eventually not at all on things that are building your long-term dreams, your long-term visions, and also help you to resolve small issues, small problems that very often snowball into big things. Like, for example, did you know that people get a lot more negative effects when it comes to small injuries compared to big injuries? Why is that? Because when the injury is big, let's say you broke a bone, then you're going to go somewhere and take care of it because it's painful, you can't function, like you gotta solve it. Otherwise, it will compromise the quality of your life and, God knows what's going to happen down the road. But when the issue is small, like some small infection or scratch, or you pull the muscle somewhere, that small muscle that doesn't really hurt that much, but is nagging. And when you exercise, might actually lead to bigger injuries. So people will delay and delay and delay that until it becomes a huge thing. And then you, either tear another muscle or break something or make it into a big thing. Like, believe it or not, people suffer a lot more negative consequences. And that is based on real world data from smaller things that just pile up and grow into big problems versus big problems that people tend to solve right away. And how the whole idea for this podcast sort of got into my mind is a client of mine asked me to help him to learn how to overcome procrastination on bigger projects like decade-long career and business vision, and then also smaller things like fixing something around your house or with your computer or with your phone or with your, banking or, all this like small issues that we tend to like push back until like we gotta do it now because either something needs to happen in your life and you can't do it because you didn't, fix the small issue, or it just, something breaks and you need to now buy a new thing or like your life won't really work. So he asked me to help with that. And I told him, well, we're going to work on one of my favorite cognitive or metacognitive skills, which I call learning how to build fire under your ass. And the client has, at the end of our session, said like, okay, I got it. You built a nice visual here. And again, it has nothing to do with discipline at all. And to start our podcast today, and it's going to be a short one, I wanted to understand reflect on human nature. And this is common for all humans, for most of the humans with normal brains, more or less. We all have our unique brains, but a lot of our tendencies are hardwired by evolution and biology, and we share them. Like a fact of human nature, that you don't get done what's important. You get done what's urgent, what feels urgent, especially if other people keep you accountable, or you're gonna lose your status or look bad in the eyes of others, or not necessarily you're gonna look bad, but you think that you're gonna look bad at work or in your personal relationships. And that's why accountability works so well, and that's why we're gonna do a lot more for other people, or just not to look bad in front of other people. So you don't get done again what's important, you get done what's urgent. And the mastery of the skill building fire under US is all about learning to manufacture and choosing your urgencies or emergencies instead of life and other people choosing them for you. And that's how you get done things that are actually important on a bigger scale or larger time horizon in your life, instead of just catching the balls that are falling on you, right? That's how you finish writing a book in a decade. That's how you build a multi-million-dollar business in a decade. That's how you build relationship that lasts a lifetime. That's how you build health that you get to enjoy when you're 90, so you can run after your dreams even when you are 90, and spend time with people you love in the joyful way, instead of being bedridden, instead of being in pain or just incapable of doing so many things that your mind still wants to do. Like, that's how you do all of these things. You manufacture urgency for those long-term things. You learn how to do that. And it's a skill. Guys, just like a skill of talking, of speaking, believe it or not, but there was time in human history when we didn't speak that well, and we didn't read, and we didn't write. It's something that we develop. And these days, of course, it feels like, how is it that you're a human and you don't know how to read or write or speak? But it was a skill that we developed. And till this day, there were some cases when humans were left with animals and they were raised by, like, I don't know, monkeys or something. There were a couple of cases of wolves. And humans grow up without developing a skill of talking, of speaking. So just because you can do it, it doesn't mean that you're gonna do it. So the conditions and the intention to pursue, to create a skill, to build a skill, it has to be there as well. So the same is with a lot of metacognitive skills. Believe it or not, you can get to a point, like I did with years of mastery, this metacognition skill. You can get to a point that things that are a decade away will feel urgent to you today. And that is a superpower that will help you to build things that most people consider impossible, because most impossible things, just things that take a really long time to master and work on. And I know that from my experience and watching a lot of people transforming their lives, building fortunes, and doing incredible things with their bodies and lives, that most of us are capable of extraordinary things, but those extraordinary things require extraordinary commitment for a decade, which we don't do because we are wired to run after our, again, urgencies and emergencies, usually brought up on us by society, other people, and the present moment, right? There is a reason why you choose every night to watch Netflix, not read books, because rest is your fundamental need right now, whereas learning and improving your skills that you might not need for another, I don't know, week or a decade, that is not what you're wired for. You're wired for survival right now, not what's going to happen to you or be good for you in 10 years or 20, 30, 40 years, right? Now 38, and I'm going to be 90 when, 52 years? So my goal is there, right? And with practice, I learned how to make myself think about that. So I feel urgent to exercise and eat well and recover and sleep well and take care of myself today. A lot of people would comment on this fact that, well, I exercise every day, I read every day, and do all of these things that I consider to be right. I work on my business idea that might take, another quite a few years. And I work on my writing skills every day, even though probably one of my best books not going to be written in the next decade. But to get there, I need to be writing every day to develop into the kind of writer who writes the kind of books that millions of people want to read. And the skill that I've developed, and I was teaching to my client at the session that we did yesterday, actually, is that skill of building fire under my ass, or translation, learning how to make urgent things that are important to me, even though they will not happen or it might not have any consequences on my life for the next decade or a few years or months sometimes. So how does it work exactly? Well, let's say I, again, want to write that book, really great book, and not one of them, in the next decade. So how do I make it urgent for me to write every day, even though, believe me, I have a full schedule and like relationships and health, and like I want to rest and I want to do fun stuff, like all of these other things that are sort of urgent right now. I have all of them. But still, I choose to dedicate 1 hour every single day, even sometimes when I have to get up like 4 or even earlier to do that writing. I still choose to do that. And the reason why, so here's my conversation that I learned to have with myself whenever I want to procrastinate. I ask myself, okay, if you don't do this now, the chances are you're going to skip it the next day or someday in the future, and then probably many more days in the future. And you might even stop doing that at all because, well, if you don't do it today, what's going to be different tomorrow? You're going to be the same person, just the person with skipping certain things and thinking that it is okay. So the tendency of not doing the habit that is needed to be done in order to create that outcome, that writing a bestseller in a decade from now. So that thing might never happen. And I'm going to be killing that dream that I have by not doing it today. And I don't fool myself. I know there's going to be something urgent, something more pleasant, something that feels like it has to happen right now instead of writing. There's always going to be that thing. And so I got to make the choice once and for all, whether I prioritize it or not and why. And then I start feeling, yeah, if I don't do this today and tomorrow, like I don't get to get better, 1% or even less than 1%. And I'm going to be pushing that dream further and further and further away, and it might not even happen. So I start feeling this agitation, this like anxiety. I got to do it. Like I can't miss it. Otherwise, I might be, again, killing my own dream. Why would I do that to myself? And so I get to freaking writing because of that. Or when I need to do these calls, for example, for the business coaching program that I'm going through. And those calls are not urgent. I can set my own schedule, like whether I do 5 of them a week or 10 of them a week, or maybe I'll decide to postpone it for the next 2-3 months, right? Nobody's going to be running after me and telling me, Angela, you got to do it. But I understand that if I don't do it sooner than later, then I'm going to be pushing my dream of having great business, impacting millions of people, taking care of my family, going on all of these adventures that require more money than I have now, right? I'm going to be pushing my dream further and further away. But not only that, that tendency of pushing things back and delaying things and procrastinating, that's going to might become my own habit. And so my dream might never happen. And they say like the best day to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is now. So I remember about that. I remember that big things, relationships, health, your business vision, writing that book. It takes years of work to actually make it happen into this great vision that you have in your head. And if you don't do that today? What's going to change tomorrow? What's going to change a day after that, a week after that? Nothing. Nothing. You're still not going to want to do it, and there is never going to be a perfect moment. You're never going to have all the time, all the energy, and all the desire to do that. So you might as well start now, because again, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time is right freaking now. So get your ass on fire and get things done. Go after it, girl. And the same was, like, for example, scheduling seeing my parents every single summer. One might say, well, you can delay it. You can do it, I don't know, in a few months or another year. But I make myself think about this uncomfortable thing that I'm not going to have my parents forever. It might be, 10, 20, 30 years if I'm lucky, and that's it. So 10, 20, like 30, years at max that I have with my parents. And it's gonna be usually, worse, like nobody's getting any younger. So I make myself think about those things. So I remind myself why it's freaking important to do it now and to have those moments and to build those memories and to act on that. Instead of feeling, well, you need to save money and you need to build business and you have more work to do, da 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 da. But I make myself think about the uncomfortable things that a life will eventually bring into my life, so that I get to feel fire under my ass and act now. And the same for small things, guys. Like the client was talking about, fixing something around the house or doing, small things around the work so the work works better. And the same thing about those small things. I remind myself of all of these moments when I didn't fix my banking or my phone or my computer that was quite recent. And I would delay, and then it would break in the most inconvenient moment. And then I had to figure out how to fix it right then and there. Or you delay your recovery, working on your sleep, working on your health, on your fitness, and you think you're going to last forever, or you're going to have that moment when you have all the resources, time, and it's going to be that perfect moment to take care of yourself. And then bam, something happens and you get sick and you get injured and your phone breaks and your computer breaks and you need your banking exactly when it stops functioning because you couldn't fix this small issue, bring this document to the bank, and bam, you have to fix it right now, right? And those kind of things, I remind myself of them whenever there is a small thing that can grow into a big problem or potentially can grow into a big problem. I remind myself, hey, you never know when you actually need it. So while you have capacity to choose and plan, do that. Because otherwise things might come not in a perfect moment and you will have to fix it and you're going to suffer a lot more. So that's how I build this urgency. I'm like, yeah, if it's, breaks exactly when I need it, when, like, I don't know, a client wants to pay and I'm miles away from my bank and I need to fix it now and there is no possibility and now I'm really screwed. Like, do I want to be in that situation? And I was in those situations. No. So I want to work on it right now. The same thing is, getting in the best shape for summer. At some point, I realized, I want to be in the best shape for whatever day of the week, month, or year it is, because I never know when there's going to be a perfect moment to go for a swim or to go and do, I don't know, dancing or wear my best dress. I don't know when those moments going to come, and I would want to look my best without having to think about my body, a diet, or something else. And I'm like, what if that day tomorrow and I'll meet the person of my life and I want to look my best? What if that day is tomorrow? How would I want to feel, look about myself, about my life? And that's what I'm working on. They say if you want to have a perfect partner, define what kind of person you need to be for that partner and work on that every day. And so when that moment comes, you are all ready because you've been working it all along, because you felt like it might happen any day. And that's the skill that you gotta start practicing. It's a metacognition skill. Metacognition is thinking about thinking. That's how you shape your own internal conversation. So then you start feeling urgency about your long-term projects or small things that you need to fix so they don't accumulate into something big and really urgent. So that is the skill that you need to practice and practice and practice until, like for myself, it becomes a second nature. And so when I don't want to work out, I'm like, well, if you don't want to work out today, you might not want to work out tomorrow and the day after. And then what? You're going to, when you're 90, you're going to be frail because you developed a habit of not doing things that you knew were good for you. The same as like recovery and sleep and all of that. They say that good quality sleep that you cultivate for decades of your life will ensure that you don't have some sort of like dementia or Parkinson's when you are 60, 70, and 80. And I don't want to lose my mind to you, but they say it accumulates over the course of 20, 30 years, and it doesn't really show much until it's too late. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that, right? Like it is urgent because one day it will become that. So that is the kind of conversation that I learned how to have with myself. So I don't delay and I don't say things like, well, I don't want to speak to that person. It's a difficult conversation or it's awkward. And then I remind myself, you might never have this freaking chance again. And you might miss the, friendship of your life or love of your life or something else. And so I did all of these things, procrastinated and delayed. And I missed a lot of chances that, well, life always brings you a lot of other chances, but I did regret a lot of those things. And at some point I realized, hey, yeah, those things passed. And the hope is that I learned and that from now on, I will do things even when they're awkward and difficult. So I don't get those regrets anymore. And so I do the thing that feels right, however awkward and imperfect. So I don't kill my own dreams and best moments by delaying certain things, right? Big dreams are not killed by some dramatic moments. They are actually killed and in thousands of moments that you delay till later. So that is the skill. That is my pitch for learning how to create your urgency to fire up your ass so you feel that urgency to act right now on your decade-long project and small things that can grow big, like those injuries. And again, it's a practice. It's a habit. And the more you practice it, the better you're going to get. And you're going to get to the point that procrastination on the wrong things or procrastination on the right things is not going to be a thing in your life. That's it for today, guys. If you have any questions, if you want to do a metacognition mindset work kind of session, coaching session, then find the link in the show notes to schedule your hour with your high performance master health, sleep, and stress management coach. Yours truly, Angela Shurina. So the link is in the show notes. Also, do please share this podcast episode with as many people as you can so they too act on their important goals and dreams instead of allowing themselves to drown into the emergencies that the world and other people can put on you. So share, rate, review. Let's reach more ears around the globe. We are already in 11,000 cities plus, so let's reach more people. So together we get to change the world one person at a time. Your help matters as your actions do. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, keep growing and keep learning how to build up that fire under your ass that gets you moving and gets you going.